Hello, amazing designers. Today we're going to be curving some text in Adobe Illustrator. One way distorts your text a little bit, but it is easier. The other way, a little harder, but does not distort your text. Why can't we just meet in the middle? The easiest way to curve this text is to go up to Effect, down to Warp, and then Arc. There's lots of different warp options, in fact, so you could play with the ones that you want, but Arc is sort of that arc shape, right? Kind of curving the text. Now, if we do it too much, it's gonna really distort our text, like so. If we just do it a little bit, we can kind of get away from it. Technically, it's still distorting your text. However, it's a simple little arc shape, very easy. I can hit OK and be done with that. I can go back in and re-edit text just by double clicking on the text if I'd like. And if I want to go back in and re-edit this arc, I can go to my appearance panel and just click on the warp effect and I can re-edit that warp effect just like that. So I'll take this back to curve, and then why don't we go for the other way that does not distort your text, but it might be a little bit trickier. We're gonna use the text on a path tool to type on the path that we create. In this case, I wanna create a little arc that I can type on. So I'm gonna go over to my line segment tool that you probably see, click and hold and select the arc tool. Now with this, it's going to create some sort of arc shape. If I hold shift, it's a nice little sort of quarter circle shape. So we're going to create that maybe in this size, just like that. I'm going to add just a little stroke to it so we can see it. Use my selection tool. Direct selection is V for that. And notice we've got this little arc created. We need to rotate that. So find the double-ended arrows on the corner, start to rotate, hold shift, and we're gonna get it just like that. So we're gonna type on this path, zooming in a little bit. I'm gonna center this on my artboard. So make sure I'm aligning it to the artboard center, just like that. Press T for the type tool. It's that big T icon in your toolbar. I'm gonna click on the anchor point way down here. If you don't click on the anchor point, it's gonna create text right where you're starting, but we're gonna wanna center this on the top of our arc. So click on that anchor point down there, and it probably will put in some text for you. Holy cow, we've got lorem ipsum in there, but just lorem. I'm gonna go ahead and type curve here, and then I'm gonna hit Command or Control A to select all, and we're going to scale this down a little bit, maybe something like 150. That's similar to this text up top here. Now, one thing you might notice, and yours is probably not going to be aligned in the same way. So if we have that text still selected, over in your paragraph panel, make sure you align to the center, right? Yours will probably be to the left. We're going to align to the center. This text is actually just a hair off center. I don't know why, you guys, but I'm going to teach you something that you should know anyway. Look at the left and right edges of our arc. See, we got these little dots and we have these lines. The lines are where your text ends on that arc. Look at the very end. That line does not go all the way to the anchor point. So get your cursor with this whole thing selected, get your cursor just lined up to where you see this little wall with an arrow to the left right underneath your cursor. That's going to allow you to move the end line, the end point of where your text is. So we're going to move that all the way to the end of our curve, just like that. Now this is exactly in the center of this arc. I don't know why. I don't know, Adobe. Come on. Why stop that? Just shy of the edge. I'm not sure. But let's take a look at this curve. To edit this actual curve, you can either retype on a larger or smaller arc that you've created, or we can go in and resize our text relative to the arc itself. So if we took this back to something like 250 point, notice how that curve adjusts, right? It's a lot more curvy, if you will. And then what we can do is just find the edge of our bounding box and scale this guy down. I'm holding Shift and Option or Alt on a PC, just like that. I can get it scaled down maybe so it looks about the size that I would want it. If I need it to be a specific point size, look, we're close to 150. We can go back to 150 just like that. And I have the curve that I want there. So those are some ways that you could curve and could adjust this after you've typed on the path. I want to cover one more thing here. There's something called text or type on a path options. If we go up to our type, and remember, I have my text selected out here. If we go up to type, down to type on a path, we can go to type on a path options. These are some shortcut keys here, but we'll talk about them in this options panel. I have different effects I can do. I could flip it and make sure it's previewed. Flip it, flips it to the other side. Okay. Rainbow is what we're using. We can also skew, which means it's sort of going to keep your vertical lines, right? So like the edge of the E still is straight up and down, but the rest of the type kind of skews. So you could skew it. You could do rainbow. We could do 3D ribbon, which sort of does some, I don't know, it's like a stair step effect. Actually, no, there's the stair step effect. The 3D ribbon does something else, but stair stepping your letters so they're straight, but they don't sort of curve. I don't know if that's one you want, maybe. We can also do gravity, which I've never used before, and that does something as well. So we can do some of these things. We can also align to the path in a certain way. This one's super important. So let's go back to rainbow. If you guys want to align your text to the center of your path, so let's say and that might be more the case, it could not be, but if you want to align it to the center of your text on the path that you draw, here's what you need to do. Align to path center, just like that. So it moves your text down into the center of that arc. Spacing's auto, that might be something you adjust, but that might be something you adjust in your character panel as well. You could always use the descender, the ascender, the baseline, all these different things, but sometimes I do use center, so I know exactly where I'm drawing this path and where my text is going to be. We curved some text in this tutorial. I hope you learned a thing or two. I probably use type on a path because I don't like the warp effect of the warp effect, if you will. Don't like how it distorts my text. Most of the time, you really don't want to be distorting your text, but if you want to get that nice little arc shape really quickly, you could use it. But also, if you kind of learn how to use arcs and type on a path, you can get there pretty quick as well, and I think have a little more customization with it. I'm Spencer from Pixel and Bracket. If you have any questions, you know what to do. See you in the next one.